Oh, it feels good to have Championship football back. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll be going over all of the matches that have taken place this weekend. Obviously, we've still got Leicester against Sheffield Wednesday coming up this afternoon as well. But all other 11 matches, I'll be giving my initial reaction to. I've watched as much football as humanly possible this weekend so far. Loads of talking points to go through today, and I'd be interested to get your guys' verdict on what you made of your side over this opening weekend. Of course, we can't read too much into game week one, but there are definitely a few talking points worth discussing in today's video. If you're going to enjoy, drop a like. Without any further ado, let's jump in. So the curtain raiser on Friday night was between Birmingham and Ipswich, in the end finishing as a 1-1 draw. I think it's safe to say that referee Andrew Kitchen wasn't the most popular man in St Andrews at the end of this game, but I thought it was an interesting tactical battle. Definitely Blues, who were on the ascendancy for the majority of this match. I thought they were the better side for this one. I thought especially in midfield was where they really took control of this game. You can tell from an Ipswich perspective that this is a position that they are a little bit light in at the moment. Obviously, the game came too soon for Kiyuste. It was, funnily enough, the sort of game where someone like a Sam Morsey, I think, would have been really effective. So, yeah, that's still an area where Ipswich will be looking to address, I'm sure. But from a Blues perspective, really quite impressed by that, and was the sort of performance that I was expecting. They came out fast against Ipswich, looking to get on the front foot. I thought that Stansfield and Kyogo worked really quite well as a partnership together. Kyogo especially really impressed me with his movement. He only got a 5.9 match rating here because he was deemed to have missed a couple of chances, but I thought looked really effective and is someone, dare I say it, who I could see scoring 20 plus goals this season maybe. He had that goal ruled out after about 11 minutes that definitely should have stood. No foul in the build-up to that one whatsoever, and it was such a delicate lob over Palmer, wasn't it? Not many number 9s in the Championship are capable of pulling off that finish, and obviously the goal in the second half comes from a similar sort of situation where Lubbs, the goalkeeper, comes off the post and then Stansfield follows it in. Potential weakness for Birmingham. Allsop had a bit of a dodgy moment, didn't he, when he gave the ball away to Smodics trying to play out from the back. I still look at that goalkeeping department overall for Birmingham and think, is that as strong as the rest of the squad? Obviously, Allsop did such a good job in League One last season. Is he a top-level Championship goalkeeper, though? Obviously, they got James Beadle, who's on the bench for this one, but again, not sure he's quite at that top echelon Championship level either. But the controversy in this game came later in the match when Ipswich were obviously awarded that penalty. Listen, it was harsh, but I think it probably was a penalty. It was Dykes who gave it away, wasn't it? His arms were up, it brushes off his fingers and does change the direction of the ball, or at least holds it up a little bit. I thought it was harsh, but it was a penalty, and Ipswich probably got away with one there a little bit. The Blues, I'd take a lot of confidence from that game. They're capable of going toe-to-toe with one of the best sides in this league. And for Ipswich, I still think it'll be a few weeks until we see them properly clicking into gear. And what I didn't realise was just how tricky their fixture list is at the start of the season. So they're coming out of this game against Birmingham. Next Sunday, they're at home against Southampton. Then they're away to Preston. I know a lot of Ipswich fans will look at that and think, you know, that's a game we should be winning. But North End at Deepdale against the top teams, we tend to perform quite well. Then they've got Derby at home, which will be tricky, and Sheffield United at home as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Ipswich fully clicking into gear until late September, early October, when they've got that midfield sorted out especially. But yeah, very interesting opening game. Blues and Ipswich fans, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that in the comments down below. Then into the first Saturday 12:30 kickoff, we had Southampton 2, Wrexham 1. Really good game of football, this one, I thought. Wrexham started off really fast, had a flurry of chances before they were awarded that penalty, Kiefer Moore going down and Josh Windass converting it, and then sort of from that point onwards, it was Southampton who were in complete control. And for a lot of this game, had got really frustrated. And it looked like Wrexham might have done enough to hold out for not just a point for up, but all 3 points. But obviously, that late bit of quality, unbelievable free kick from Ryan Manning, and then that last-minute winner from Jack Stevens. Ultimately, I thought it was a game that Southampton deserved to win. I mean, if we look at their underlying stats here, it was Southampton who absolutely bossed this one. You know, 75% possession, an XG of over 3 goals in this one. But I thought Wrexham gave a good account of themselves. You know, they crafted out 4 big chances in this game. What I'd also say about this team as well is Wrexham, I think, are only going to get better from this stage. If we think that they've done a lot of their business later on in the window, they had that pre-season tour of Australia, didn't they? And during that tour, I think the only signings that they've made at that point had been Danny Ward and Ryan Hardy. So a lot of these other names that they brought in over the last few weeks are still getting to know the rest of the squad, still gelling into place, and going away to a side like Southampton, who are expected to be among the title favourites this season. I still thought Wrexham gave a good account of themselves and will cause a lot of teams trouble this season, especially with that combo going forward of Kiefer Moore and Josh Windass. I was a little bit surprised that Danny Ward started ahead of Okonkwo, but I did fairly well, to be fair, all the shots that were thrown at him. From a Southampton perspective, I mean, they bossed the possession. We expected them to. They had a flurry of chances at the end of the first half. I couldn't believe they didn't score from. Could have easily been awarded a penalty for handball in the second half as well, but what was really telling for me was just the quality and depth. The substitutes available here to Will Still, having the options of Ross Stewart, Cameron Archer, Ryan Manning, Damian Downs, Mateus Fernandes to come on in the second half. I mean, Wrexham have spent a lot of money, but they do not have strength and depth anywhere close to that. And ultimately, I think that will get Southampton out of jail a lot this season, having those game-changing players coming off the bench. So positives, I think, to take for both sides from this one, but good winning start for Southampton. Another early kick-off on Saturday, we saw Coventry playing out a goalless draw with Hull. We won't spend ages talking about this one because obviously there wasn't a great deal of goal-mouth action. Thought Hull defended really well for this one. Charlie Hughes especially, from everything that I saw of this game, was immense at the back once again. You can see why Hull rate him so highly, and they're so keen to keep hold of him this summer. There were also a few flashes from Hull where I saw them playing some lovely football. There was one passage of play in the first half especially that really caught my eye. I think it was Regan Slater who went through on goal after some nice passes but was offside. But yeah, there were signs of Hull starting to build something there. Still just a question of maybe, is there a lack of goals in this squad at the moment? Like, who in this squad at the moment would you hang your hat on getting double figures this season? Joseph, I'm still not sure about. McBurney, I think will be really effective, but more so at bringing others into play rather than being that prolific himself. But I think we're always going to learn more about Hull from a defensive standpoint in this game, and a clean sheet away at Cov is not to be sniffed at. From a Coventry perspective, a little bit disappointed. They obviously bossed possession, had more of the possession in this one, controlled most of the game, but weren't really able to do that much with it. Like, they had 17 shots in this game, but a lot of them were quite speculative ones from sort of outside the box here, weren't they? Lack of a quality number 9 at Cov as well, maybe. I think a few Championship sides are going to be in the market for a striker between now and the end of the window. Listen, point on the opening day, you can't have too many complaints about, but from a Coventry perspective, I was expecting a little bit more. Then, as the last early kickoff on Saturday, we had Charlton beating Watford. I was fancying a Charlton win in this game, and in the end, they left it late, but it was Harvey Nibbs coming on as that impact sub and making the difference. I could see Charlton winning quite a lot of games 1-0 at home this season. They made themselves a real tough nut to crack, and I thought they were the deserved winners of this one. Prior to that late goal, they crafted out the better chances. I think it speaks for itself when Selvik, Watford's goalkeeper, was their best player this afternoon. First half, Watford did have a few passages of play. Loser looked tidy in midfield. Barr tried to make things happen on the right-hand side, but there was just not a great deal of end product there. But yeah, Nibbs being introduced in the last 10 minutes and finishing his chance when it came to him. I think he'll be a really big player for Charlton this season. Fantastic in League One for Reading over these past couple of years. Yeah, I think he'll be a big player this year. Good win for Charlton. Watford, not overly impressed, but it's still early days. Then into the Saturday 3 PM kickoffs, we had Middlesbrough beating Swansea 1-0. Had the feeling that this one would be quite a tight, low-scoring affair. In the end, it turned into that. Dale Fry's goal in the 51st minute being the difference between the two sides. It was a set-piece goal, and yeah, that was sort of the story of this game, really. Not a hell of a lot of quality from open play, but Borough, I think, will take that every day of the week. 3 points on the board, a clean sheet, especially considering their upcoming fixtures. Borough have a really tough start on paper. You know, with their next games being against Millwall away, Norwich away, Sheffield United at home, Preston away, West Brom at home, Southampton away. It's a really tough start for Middlesbrough. So the fact they've got that monkey off their back, got that first win of the season, I think will feel quite good, really. Swansea, a bit disappointed, to be honest. If we look into the underlying stats here, they really don't show up well for Swansea, who had 3 shots all afternoon, an XG of 0.09. I mean, there just was a lack of quality throughout this game for Swansea, wasn't there? But particularly in the final third, where no one really turned up. Credit to Borough though, because they defended well. I'd still expect there to be quite a lot of changes at Borough and this starting 11 between now and the end of the window. I think Borough are going to be looking quite different compared to how this team's set up here and how they'll be looking coming out of the window. But a good win for Borough nonetheless. Swansea, bit disappointed they didn't create a lot. After that, we had this game at Carrow Road, Millwall winning 2-1, and this is a real statement of intent on the opening game week. Now, this was the game that I was sort of most paying attention to at 3 p.m, other than QPR against North End. This was the game that I had on in the background and quite enjoyed this one as a neutral. You know, it was fairly end-to-end, chances at both ends of the pitch. Obviously, a real strong suit for Norwich last season was their home form and how many goals they scored at Carrow Road, and for that reason, I sort of edged them as the favourites coming into this one. But Millwall, I really like what we saw from them. It was obviously Millwall who took the lead in this one. Thought from that point that they may have just taken the sting out of the game, but then a really bizarre goal leads to Norwich getting back into it. Bender sort of misjudges how fast Josh Sargent's closing him down, goes for a long kick, and Sargent ricochets off his body and goes into the back of the net. From that point, at 1-1, any team could have won this game. It was quite back and forth between them. Aziz missed an absolute sitter at 1-1, but then it was Langstaff off the bench. A lovely assist from Doughty as well from that fullback position that won it for Millwall. Listen, as a Norwich fan, it's disappointing to lose on game week 1, but I still wouldn't be too disheartened. There's a lot of players in this starting 11 that were making their debut for the club. You know, how many debuts have we got in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... technically 6, and that's just in the starting 11 alone, a few off the bench as well. It's going to take Liam Manning a bit of time to make all of this click with how many new faces have come in this summer. But from a Millwall perspective, really impressed with them on game week 1. There's a reason I think they'll be in and around the playoff hunt this season, and the way showing like that at Carrow Road, yeah, there was quite a lot to like about that from Millwall. After that, we had Pompey going away to Oxford and walking away with all 3 points. Sagetic scoring on his debut. It was a bit of a poor goal that Oxford gave away, wasn't it? It was a poor back pass from Brannigan, put Colby Bishop through on goal, who probably should have scored the chance himself, but Cummins saved well and it fell back to Sagetic, who followed it in quite well. A few standout performers from this one from Pompey. Lang looked like he was quite busy all afternoon. Schmid and Net as well made some good saves, I thought, to keep Oxford at bay when they had their chances. It's a bit of a problem last season, Pompey's away form, wasn't it? You know, home form, they were a top 10 or so side in the league last season, but away from home was where they let things slip away. So to go away to a place like Oxford, which wasn't an easy ground to go to last season, get a clean sheet and walk away with all 3 points, I think is quite good. For Oxford, there were probably just too many that were below their usual standards in this game. You know, we spoke about Brannigan before and his pull back pass, he just didn't quite seem to be on it in this one. They did create a reasonable amount of chances, to be fair, an XG of 1.44, but just didn't have that quality to put it away. Listen, I don't think there should be any major overreactions after game week 1, but a good win for Pompey there on the road for sure. After that then to Loftus Road, where we had QPR playing out a 1-1 draw with Preston North End. Ultimately, I think a point was probably a fair result. QPR definitely had the better of this game in the first half, but I thought North End really grew into it in the second half of this one. If you keep Dembele, Chet and Poku fit this season, QPR will be quite a bit of fun to watch. In the first half especially, there were some lovely moments of them playing through the lines and causing North End's back line quite a few problems. In the end, it was Dembele who had a real hand in that opening goal, absolutely skins Jordan Story alive. Small as well, should probably do a bit better for this one, but cuts it back across and then ricochets back off Ben Whiteman for an own goal. And at that point, I'm thinking, oh God, here we go again as a North End fan. But to be fair, Heckingbottom definitely got us more up for this second half, and oh my God, how much have I missed Daniel Everson in between the sticks. First of all, his goalkeeping performance I thought was really good, made some good saves in both the first and second half, but the assist to Milutin Osmaic for our equaliser was absolutely superb. It was one thing that I think a lot of North End fans had a real pet peeve with Freddie Woodman last season, how slow his distribution was at times, but the equaliser comes from a QPR corner. Everson has the ball in his hands, launches the ball up the pitch and then sends Osmaic through on goal, and it's a lovely finish by Osmaic, by the way. Lobs the goalkeeper and takes that goal really well. And then with the game at 1-1, it could have gone either way. Both sides had chances after that to go on and win, but ultimately it fizzled out to a draw, which, yeah, I think is a fair result in the end. QPR, Poku and Dembele both went off with knocks, didn't they? So I hope that that's not too serious for them. Ultimately, though, I think these are two sides here who had a lot of injuries coming into game week 1. So I don't think we saw the best of either of them. And for that reason, I think both of us are fairly happy to settle for a point and just get that on the board and move on with the season. After that, we had Stoke beating Derby 3-1. If any game in the Championship this weekend was going to throw up 4 goals, this wasn't the match I thought that would apply to. But yeah, fair play to Stoke, because for a lot of this game, they seemed to be the side in the ascendancy, and then Derby score against the run of play. It was a lovely finish by Colton Morris, and at that point you're thinking, is this going to be a bit of a John Eustace masterclass? Derby frustrate the hell out of Stoke for the rest of this game. And it's the sort of game where, especially first half of last season, Stoke probably would have lost this one. But credit to them, 3 late goals. It was Baker with a bit of quality from the edge of the box to get them back into this one. Mabama to get off the mark as well, I think is big for Stoke. Took his goal really well. And then it was Sorba Thomas with the last one as well to sort of put the cherry on top, really. Derby right now, still a bit of a work in progress with how many players they brought into the club this summer. They had a few of them on the bench, and obviously Adjiman still recovering from that injury. He's yet to be integrated into the squad as well. So I don't have too many concerns about Derby, really. Stoke, though, richly deserved 3 points, certainly looking into the underlying stats of this game. More of the ball, more chances, better chances, quite a few shots from different positions of the pitch as well. Yeah, there's quite a bit to like about that one from Stoke. Then at the Hawthorns, we had West Brom beating Blackburn 1-0. The goal was a bit of a scrappy one in the end, wasn't it? It was a furlong long throw, bounces around the box a little bit, and then Price sticks it into the back of the net. Second half, it looked like this game became a bit of a battle, really, became a little bit scrappy. Not a lot of quality, really. If we look at the stats for the second half here, there was only 1 shot on target between both sides in the second half here. For Blackburn, I definitely think there was a bit of a lack of quality and creativity in the final third. Like, you look at this squad here with no Cantwell, you know, you've not got someone like Dolan to rely upon either. I still think more is needed there, and I think especially without Cantwell, who was obviously out for this one, Blackburn still look a little bit light in that department. For West Brom, though, good result. Obviously there was a furlong red card late on as well. It was a little bit silly, that second yellow, wasn't it? So he'll be serving a suspension now, but overall decent win that for the Baggies. And then the last game we have to talk about on this video was the evening kickoff on Saturday, Sheffield United against Bristol City, and who on earth saw this one coming? Now, to be fair, I thought there'd be goals in this game. I had it down as a 2-2 in my predictions. I thought Sheffield United would be a bit leaky at the back. You know, it is a makeshift back line they were coming into this game with, but, you know, going forward, I thought they'd give quite a bit. But Bristol City just blew them out of the water, didn't they? Going forward, Sheffield United did offer something. I thought there were lively moments. Louis Barry, I thought, looked lively until he got hooked. O'Hare had some nice passes. Campbell in the final third as well. But, I mean, in defence for Sheffield United, Bristol City were just absolutely all over them, weren't they? And listen, we do expect Sheffield United to be quite busy between now and the end of the window in bringing in more defenders. You know, this was a team that was badly lacking a big physical centre-half. And it did look like a team defensively that were just caught in the headlights. You know, Tyler Bindon making his debut in very tough circumstances, and he's partnered by Reece Norrington-Davies, you know, who's usually a fullback. Bristol City took advantage of that, and have we all been a little bit guilty of maybe underrating Bristol City this season? Because I've not seen anyone who's tipped them for a place in the top 6, and Gerhard Struber, at least going off this performance and some of the stuff I've seen from them in pre-season, has really got this side ticking along nicely. Scott Twine, absolutely unbelievable. Took his goal after about 5 or so minutes superbly well. Sets up Ross McCrory for the second, and then he scores his own second goal in the second half. Bit fortunate with the deflection on that one, but he was just running rings around Sheffield United, wasn't he? So much to like from an attacking perspective from Bristol City in that game. They could be so much fun to watch this season. From a Sheffield United perspective, yeah, it's a bad one, but it's still just game week 1. There will be more additions made, I'm sure, between now and the end of the window to improve that defensive situation, which did look very flaky, I must say. But guys, there we have it. That will round off this episode of the Championship Roundup. Obviously, we've still got a game coming up this afternoon, Leicester City against Sheffield Wednesday. We'll be discussing that one probably in tomorrow's video. But for all other 11 matches that have taken place this weekend, do get your thoughts on them in the comments down below. Feels so good to have Championship football back. But as always, guys, thank you very very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.